Hi, I'm Josh, your friendly neighborhood malware catcher, and I'm here to tell you how to avoid online scams. Pew, 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 pew. I'm here today to teach all of you a little about internet security, specifically the types of scams you may encounter and how to spot them. These could be social media scams, spam emails, suspicious Wi-Fi hotspots, pop-ups, and even browser extensions. The best practices to avoid scams, period. And lastly, what to do if you have been scammed. Oh no! By the end of this video, if you follow all the steps that we share below, we hope your computer will be squeaky clean. Bonus points for those of you that like and subscribe. Welcome to your very first day of my online scam avoidance bootcamp. Boy, that's a mouthful. What you're about to see is some of the scariest stuff the internet has to offer. Sound good? Then follow me. Alright, let's take a look at some of the types of online scams that you may encounter. First up, social media related scams. Now, everyone and their mum has a Facebook or Instagram account. But do you know who else has access to social media? Crooks, fraudsters, and criminals alike. It makes me sick just thinking about them. Social media scams will usually come in the form of so-called products, especially now with COVID-19 roaming around. Scam artists will usually try to contact you directly via DMs and attempt to sell you on their miracle products. They may also try to sell you a subscription to a product or service. Get 1 month for the low price of $5.99, they say. Except you'll be charged some ludicrous amount like $99, which is actually buried into the small print. You may also be DM'd a link to enter a contest to win a free iPad or something like that. The link actually downloads a bot that adds your device to a botnet of zombies, which scammers use to send spam emails. The best thing you can do is to never accept DMs from anyone you don't know or don't follow. Even then, hackers can sometimes get a hold of legitimate accounts and use them to scam unsuspecting folks. So don't open up any links that you receive from anyone on the internet. If you see an offer that you'd like to check out, Google the company instead of clicking on the link. Often, scammers will use real company names to trick people into believing that the products they are selling are legit. Spoiler alert, they're not. Also, if you receive a tweet or DM from someone you suspect may be a bot, check out their profile. If they're following hundreds of people but no one is following them back, they're a bot. You should block them immediately. Next up, email scams. Email scams are nothing new, but people still fall prey to them every day. And to be fair, some of them actually contain proper grammar and syntax. Others though, yikes. We're all familiar with spam email. If you've ever frequented risque websites, your spam folder is probably bursting with emails from Russian cutie XX and the like. But not all spam scams are as obvious as that. No, that's a scam! As with social media related scams, fraudsters will often try to sell you a product by contacting you directly via email. Again, the best way to avoid infecting your device with malware or buying a fake product is to simply mark the email as spam and carry on with your day. A good rule of thumb is to never respond to an email from an address that you don't recognize. Better yet. Sometimes, however, scammers will attempt to prey on your good nature. You may receive emails from supposedly charitable organizations asking you to pledge a few dollars. To speed things along, these scammers will often ask for personal information, such as your social security and your bank account numbers. Yeah, it should go without saying that you should never, under any circumstances, share personal information with anyone over the internet. Finally, in extreme scenarios, scammers will sometimes claim to be assassins who are holding one of your loved ones hostage. Yeah, that's pretty audacious, but people fall for it sometimes. The result is the same though. They'll ask you to send them money. Look, if you're really worried that one of your family members may be in danger, give them a call to check up on them. Otherwise, mark the message as spam and move on. Finally, let's take a look at some of the miscellaneous scams that you might encounter. Look for all their faults and complete lack of a moral compass. You've got to give scam artists credit. They're creative and innovative when they need to be. For example, have you ever made use of what seems to be a totally legit free Wi-Fi hotspot? I know someone who has. and it wasn't pretty. Some Wi-Fi hotspots are actually run by crooks operating in the area. Once you log into the network, they mine your device for passwords, banking information, credit card numbers, and the like. The best way to avoid this is to go into your device's settings and make sure it isn't set up and connect to unpreferred networks. Additionally, if you do connect to a hotspot, say in a coffee shop for instance, make sure that the URL begins with HTTPS. The S standing for secure, of course. Also, ensure that you're using a VPN when browsing a public network. We recommend Surfshark for this. Check out our link in the description box below. Another example of the innovative maneuvers scam artists employ is scareware. Basically, what happens is this. A window pops up telling you that your device has been infected with malware. Oh no! Luckily, the pop-up prompts you to install this totally legit piece of antivirus software to run a full system scan and clean your device. Yay! Sure enough, it finds the virus and removes it, then prompts you to sign up for the software. Now, what actually happens is, when you click on the link, the bogus company installs malware on your device. This malware can potentially cripple your device. It can also mine your device for all of your sensitive information, then relay it back to the thieves. To avoid this, we recommend having a strong antivirus installed. Norton Antivirus is a pretty good option that will ensure that your device is safe and secure at all times. If you encounter a pop-up like this, close the window. Then run a full scan of your device to ensure that it's malware-free. Now, how does one avoid all online scams? Well, my little rookie, it's very simple. For starters, check out Surfshark to get your hands on a reliable VPN service that will protect your online privacy. I'd also suggest getting your hands on an antivirus software like Norton Antivirus, which will protect your device from harmful malware. You can find links for both of these services in our description box below. Other than that, it's a good rule of thumb to never download anything from any unofficial sources. I know, everyone's a pirate these days.
Ahoy, matey!
Hey, come on guys, that was one time. But seriously, the amount of malware that can be disguised as a perfectly legitimate piece of software is outstanding. Additionally, when buying products online, make sure you purchase directly from the source or from a certified retailer like Amazon. Online scammers are tricky, and they'll often try to sell you purely fictitious products designed to rid you of your hard-earned money. Oh, and before we move on, if you're wondering whether or not Hot Russian Girl XX really has some hot pictures to show you, she doesn't.
You make me sad.
Finally, what can you do if you've already been scammed? If you've been scammed, the chances are that your device has been infected with malware. And to this end, you'll be glad to have Norton on your side. Regardless of which antivirus program you choose, be sure to run it and scan for malware. We've got a whole video dedicated to that, which you can find right here. Otherwise, if things don't seem to be getting any better, you may have to clean your PC the old-fashioned way by completely resetting it. Luckily for Windows 10 and 11 users, you can retain all your data when you have to reset your device, but you'll have to reinstall any apps or games that you may have downloaded. Some malware, however, is pretty sticky, and you may need to do a clean OS install. Make sure that your computer doesn't make a copy of files called windows.old, because particularly malicious rootkits can pretend to be part of your OS and carry over to your new copy. Finally, if the crime is of a more monetary nature, I'd suggest filing a complaint with the IC3. That's the Internet Crime Complaint Center, for those of you who don't know. They are a division of the FBI. Yes, that FBI, dedicated to handling cybercrime. We'll link their website down below for anybody in need. That's about it. Alright, rookie, you made it through the boot camp. Unfortunately, we're out of awards, but here's a pat on the back. You've earned it, my old friend. Honestly, the easiest way to avoid most online scams is to have a strong antivirus installed and a VPN. Check the links below. Other than that, common sense will take you far when you're online. Don't take the bait. I've been Josh, you've been awesome, bye.